Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I have lived through buckets and decades of trauma and healing, and I've come out on the other side to help educate you and inspire you and motivate you to cross over and kind of put in the work and understand why you're repeating the same patterns and behaviors and having the same results and not developing the life that you truly want for yourself. Because if you think about it, you're probably highly successful, you are driven, you're motivated, you execute your checklists, you're timely, you're a great friend, you're a great child to your parents, you're a recovering people pleaser potentially, you've dated maybe narcissists in the past, there's just some aspects of your life where you're like, why is this kind of like this gray area where I can't perform at my peak top performance? And that's not your fault, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Oh, it's so dry. Oh my god. Okay, that's not awkward at all. It's highly likely you keep attracting the same kind of relationships into your life, either romantically or friend zone. Like, we have a vibration, we have an energy to us that lets the universe or other people know what we're open to receiving. I know you have felt energy on people before, subconsciously or not, and you felt safe to open up and create a friendship space, or you've crossed the street because that person's made you uncomfortable, or you knew that person didn't like you because of the way that they were behaving. You've had moments in your life where that's happened, and what's going on is your nervous system is stuck in an outdated operating system. The way that you are showing up mindfully, subconsciously, unawareingly is that something else is driving your car. I did a video like almost a year ago where you have a car, that's your conscious mind, and you have a driver, that's your subconscious mind, and you're sitting in the passenger seat at all times, and your subconscious mind has you on autopilot, just cruising to your favorite coffee shop, your favorite gym, the people that you've known since high school, college, whatever, appeasing your parents, whatever that mannerism or behavior is. The car just drives because it knows the route, it knows it's safe. So like, why would we like veer and take like, that app Waze that like takes you through alleys and like back corners, and you're like, how did we end up here? This is like such a weird way to get there, but like it worked. That's your subconscious mindset. It's highly likely if you keep repeating these patterns of choosing people that make you feel less than, you were wired for love that was inconsistent, just out of reach. Like you always had to keep climbing. I remember my dad one specific time was like, if you get A's on your report card, I'll give you $100. I got all A's. And he immediately said when I showed him my report card, yeah, but they're not A pluses. And I was like blown away that there was an underlying secret mission that he didn't say out loud. Anyways, that's why I can vouch for this. I had two parents that behaved in this way that caused me for decades to choose the wrong people, the wrong partners, and to not prioritize myself. And I want you to shift that and evolve from that starting today. Most of us behaving from this pattern were not taught to receive. We were taught to beg. We were taught to earn the love from our parents, to perform, to keep the peace, to prove that we were worthy of them, again, on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis. And now that you've executed how to be successful, likely, your operating system with relationships is still askew. Do you understand how they're separate? So you can be a top performer, high achieving boss, like boom, but when it comes to love, you can still be performing and behaving like a young child, stuck in that activation of, I need to really impress them, I really need to show them, I really need to earn them because I'm less than, I'm not 100%, I'm not fully fulfilled. And I need them to validate me to make me feel like I am worth something. Does this resonate with you, possibly? Let me know in the comment section below if you want more of this kind of content. I truly believe that most of my relationships up until my 40s were performative, and the person checked a box and looked good on paper, and I was just tired of waiting for my true person. I would constantly find myself in relationships with narcissists. I was so afraid of letting anyone in that I had really high walls and like moats with crocodiles and alligators and like fire bombs. And that is something that a narcissist can spot a mile away, and someone that's healthy will avoid. So I wasn't able to manifest a healthy partner because I was so protective and so accusatory, vibrationally rejecting anyone that was safe, sometimes I would find them boring, right? Because they weren't triggering my central nervous system. They weren't causing me to have anxiety or panic. They were just like dating me once a week, in connection during the day. Like that to me meant they didn't like me, because they weren't like chasing me, hunting me, love bombing me, right? I feel like you can relate to that. What was I gonna say? So narcissists can smell when you are a prey for them. They can smell it, and they love bomb you, and they like let you slowly drop the bridge, and then they come in and they burn you to the ground. They annihilate you and conquer you and take all your diamonds and whatever castles usually have, and they skip off into the night and find the next person to demoralize. It's not that you're unlucky in love. It's the choices that you're making, and it's highly likely that you weren't mothered. And that's why this pattern behavior is happening. Or you weren't fathered. One of your parents was making you feel a certain way, and we're taught that like blood is thicker than water, and there's very religious aspects of like, respect your elders and be kind, and like you have to stay in connection and relationship with someone even if they're mistreating you. And I call BS. My life took the biggest turn to positive when I separated from my father. And let me clarify with you, I didn't choose that. He cut me out. He broke up with me because I started to sense the narcissistic vibes and stand up for myself, and that enraged him so much that he knew I was catching on, so he discarded me, like literally fired me via text message after 14 years of working for him. And I lived in my car for several months, like just trying to figure out who I was and what had happened, because I had never been allowed to be myself. So obviously I have daddy issues, right? And so I had unresolved connection to narcissistic men. If they didn't make me feel like my dad, if they didn't neglect me, abandon me, mistreat me, verbally put me down, physically he would hit me in front of people, strangers, on vacations and in the workplace. He would slap me. That to me was how men were supposed to love me. And it took, years of healing, and a big thing that I think really escalated and sped up my rewiring and reframing and changing my preferences was dating myself, was being single and celibate, not sharing space energetically with a man. It's now almost been 2 years. I absolutely feel that my feminine power, my intuition, my radar has like 10x'd in capability, and I can now, within a few messages on a dating app, suss someone out for their patterns and unmatch. And I haven't been on more than one date, and I've had the apps now for 4 months, and the one date was in another country, and he was lovely. Both of my parents breadcrumbed me, and so I've met very healthy women that are friends that after a few times of hanging out back in the day would disconnect from me because they were mind blown that I was this high-powered achiever. I looked like I have it all put together, and I was allowing dumpster fire men to mistreat me in a very poor way, and they couldn't understand the connection, and I couldn't understand what they were seeing that I didn't see. But it was that my central nervous system was comfortable in the chaos. It was comfortable with the breadcrumbs. It's what I expected. It's what I'd known. It's what I'd seen. It's my experience. So like, isn't this how all relationships are? If you don't know if you don't know. Does that make sense? Like if you've never had a healthy relationship, which I used to say this to my therapist all the time, I don't know what healthy is. I need you to teach me, because I knew I had never had a healthy relationship. How am I supposed to compare or align with a healthy person if I literally don't know what that feels like? So that's something in my coaching that I do that I know is not traditional therapy, which I find to be very helpful. Something that was really uncomfortable for me after my mom died was within a few weeks of my mom dying, I had this rage and anger at her that I was embarrassed. And I was embarrassed that I hadn't felt that way while she was alive, and I felt like a phony that had been so loving to her on her deathbed and so beautifully connected with her the last few years of her life, when I reflected upon her death, just how terrible and mean she had been. And so I felt like a phony and a fake, that I was like pretending she was this great mom while she was alive. And then as soon as she passed away, I like had all this resentment and rage come out. Like I really felt really uncomfortable with myself, because I was like, why am I lying to myself? Why didn't I speak the truth? Why didn't I stand up and say something and whatever? So I literally had to Google it. I asked chat because I was so confused. And I literally said, why do repressed feelings come back after a parent's death? And it's very common. It's that you finally feel safe enough to say, I was abused. Because no one wants to admit that their parent is neglecting and abusing them. And so oftentimes, someone that is a recovering people pleaser will mistake the tap dance of win my affection as real affection, especially when it's coming from a parent, which is what strengthens that issue in your love relationships. So it's got 5 notes here. It says, when a person dies, the person you may have tiptoed around, sought approval from, or been emotionally entangled with is no longer there. So this absence can trigger unresolved grief from childhood or earlier conflicts. You know, I often felt like uncomfortable feeling bad thoughts about my mom because she's my mom. Why should I feel that way? But when I look back at how she behaved and treated me, again, you don't know what you don't know. So my experience as a child, I thought it was normal. But when I share openly with people, they're aghast at what I had lived through at a very young age. And it also took my brother, right before he passed recently, of affirming that and saying, yeah, it wasn't that crazy that mom would do XYZ or mom would do this. Like I specifically remember she had postpartum really bad, and she would be really overwhelmed with my little brothers being so combative with each other. I remember one time she threw my brother's toy out the window while there was like construction going on in summer. It was so hot. And she made me walk, I'm not kidding, a half a mile back through the construction site in the summer heat to go get the toy instead of just turning the car around and getting it, because she just wanted to be alone with her thoughts. And I think because I was older, she was embarrassed, so she would punish me for some reason. There's resentment and unresolved feelings towards me. I think that happens with a lot with moms and daughters, is when a woman has a daughter, it's like they are a better version of you and it makes you uncomfortable. I think that happens with men in a sense too, which is why those relationships can be so triggering. Second reason, you're no longer playing the same role. So as children, we often suppress parts of ourselves to maintain the role we held in the family system as the peacemaker, achiever, caretaker, quiet one. So when that person dies, that family system cracks open and the feelings that were suppressed to keep the peace come flooding out. That was definitely me, my friends. 3, unmet needs resurface. Loss stirs that primal need. So you may feel yourself grieving the parent that you never had but had hoped they would change into, or the fantasy of reconciliation that will never come. I did get the reconciliation, and I did get a very loving relationship the last 2 years, specifically the last few months when she stood up for me when my little brother had not been nice to me his entire life. So that felt really validating. 4, grief breaks open the body's memory. The body stores emotional pain. So grief isn't about death. It's about everything left unsaid and unfelt. That one hit me so hard, especially when I went to Kauai and I worked on my womb healing at the one hotel, and it was super powerful. And she released and moved through a lot of my SA. I had had a lot of SA since a very young age, that started at the age of 6, as far as I can remember. So unlocking these buried feelings of abandonment, fear, anger, shame, and powerlessness, like sis, felt all 5. And then number 5, it's a rite of passage. The parent's death often symbolizes the end of childhood. Even if you're well into adulthood, you may feel orphaned. That's literally what I started saying. I'm an orphan now. And this initiatory moment brings a reckoning with who you were, who they were, and who you now must become. Boom. I hate to read notes off of the internet, but I couldn't get all that out in such a condensed form. I would have rambled on about that for 2 hours, so I needed to keep it short. But yeah, such a powerful thing. And it's eerie because we don't talk about death. We refuse to acknowledge death as a thing, and we all kind of oh, it's not happening. And then someone dies and you're like, oh my God, it happened. it's really kind of messed up how we ignore something that literally everyone will experience. You will experience losing people. You will lose your life. Like, this is a thing that we all experience and encounter, and it's very taboo to talk about it. It's very uncomfortable for people. It's why I lost a lot of the relationship in my life. When my brother passed away, nobody really knew how to talk to me. Me losing him made them uncomfortable, which is like mind-blowing to me, but that is human behavior, and death terrifies people. And after living through a mother who passed away and a brother who passed away on the same day 2 years later, both very close to me, the three of us would text pretty much every single day. I can tell you that now I have such a different perspective on death, and it actually causes me to live in the way that I'm showing up for you right now. I glow in a different way. I'm more positive than I've ever been. I am more patient. I am more understanding. I am more reflective. I am more introspective. I am more intentional. I am more creative. I am more passionate. I am more driven, yet more relaxed and rested. I am an escalated version of my best self very rapidly because they died. Because they lost life, and I'm still here to tell about it. I now feel so much, I was going to say pressure. Pressure isn't the right word. I feel so much more, what is the word I'm looking for? I just feel more intentional. Because like literally tomorrow's not a guarantee. The next hour is not a guarantee. And I really love playing this game. I have such a fun vessel that I get to play in. I have such a fun community that I get to share with and connect to and open up to and inspire and hopefully motivate. And I just feel really blessed to have another moment on this planet and do this work. And I really want you to feel the connection to, it's not your fault that you're repeating the cycle. But until you work on your reprogramming of your subconscious mind and release pain, trauma, resentment, anger, rage, paranoia, all of these dark, deep-rooted emotions, until you release through and move through those things, sis, you're just gonna keep repeating and just banging your head on the wall. And I know you want better, and I know that you know how to be successful. You went likely to school and excelled. You're doing well in your job, you excel in so many facets, but you really want love. And I'm here to tell you there's so much love out there, and it starts with you loving yourself, prioritizing self. This is kind of a hodgepodge of a video. Sorry, I don't edit or script. I just kind of let things flow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Please comment below anything that you have questions about, topics you'd like me to reference. Personal, if you're feeling vulnerable and open, personal stories would be amazing because that can help me understand what kind of content my viewers need more of. And I'm so thankful for you, and I am really appreciative that I have this space. And I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, my friends. Thanks so much. Bye for now.